Hello everyone. So today we are going to study Government of India Act of 1919, and this act is also known as Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms. So now let's get started. Now talking about some things about the act. So this act came to force in the year 1921. The British government declared for the first time that its objective was gradual introduction of responsible government in India. So ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट चाहती थी कि धीरे धीरे अब उनका जाने का टाइम आ रहा था कि एक रिस्पॉन्सिबल गवर्नमेंट स्टैब्लिश हो इंडिया में, एंड उसी सीरीज में ये एक्ट्स लाए गए. नाउ दिस एक्ट इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज मोन्टागू केल्म्सफोर्ड एक्ट. इसको मोन्टागू केल्म्सफोर्ड एक्ट भी बोलते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि मोन्टागू एक पर्सन थे हु वाज द सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट फॉर इंडिया, एंड देयर वाज अनदर पर्सन, लॉर्ड केल्म्सफोर्ड, हु वाज द वाइसरॉय ऑफ इंडिया. तो ये एक बार फिर से देखते हैं. ये एक्ट 1921 में आया. इट वाज कॉल्ड मोन्टागू केल्म्सफोर्ड एक्ट. व्हाई? बिकॉज मोन्टागू वाज सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट फॉर इंडिया एंड लॉर्ड केल्म्सफोर्ड वाज वाइसरॉय ऑफ इंडिया. अब देखते हैं इस एक्ट के कुछ फीचर्स क्या थे. सो द फर्स्ट फीचर वाज दैट दिस एक्ट सेपरेटेड द सेंट्रल एंड प्रोविंशियल सब्जेक्ट्स. इसका मतलब ये था कि the subjects under the central list and the subject under the provincial list would be different. So what the British government did was it relaxed the central control over the provinces by demarcating and separating the central and provincial subjects. Second इसका feature था that it divided the provincial subjects into two parts, transferred and reserved. Now what is the difference between transferred subject and reserved subject? The transferred subjects were to be administered by the governor with the aid of ministers responsible to the legislative council. So with the aid of ministers who were responsible to the legislative council. The reserved subjects on the other hand were to be administered by the governor and his executive council without being responsible to the legislative council. So in case of transferred subjects, the governor and his aid of ministers, they were responsible to the legislative council, and in the second, the governor with his executive council, they were not responsible to the legislative council. Now this dual system of governance was known as Diarchy, and Diarchy, the term comes from Dyarch, which means double rule. But eventually it was found out that this experiment was not successful. Now this act also introduced the concept of bicameralism. Now you know, जैसे हम इंडिया में रहते हैं, so we have लोक सभा and राज्य सभा, upper house and lower house, and this concept is also derived from England क्योंकि वहाँ House of Commons and House of Lords भी होता है. Now moving on to the fourth point, it also provided for the establishment of a public service commission, and in this regard later on Central Public Service Commission was set up in the year 1926 for recruiting civil servants. So ये इस एक्ट का एक बहुत important feature था that it laid the foundation for establishing Central Public Service Commission, and it was set up in the year 1926. All right. It also separated for the first time provincial budget from the central budget and authorized the provincial legislatures to enact their budgets. It also provided for the appointment of a statutory commission to inquire into and report on its working after 10 years of its coming into force. So these were the features of Government of India Act of 1919. In the next video, I am going to talk about Simon Commission. Thank you.